So my name's Lou. I think maybe a couple of people got to see me last time around. I was here beginning of the summer, I think, for 1 Million Cups, talking about the Evergreen story. So I'll kind of recap that and then provide a little bit of an update too. First of all, how many people are students here? Okay, any small business owners? Awesome. And the students, are you wanting to build a business? Is that the hope? All right, cool. So really quickly about me, like I said, my name's Lou. I think some people may remember the Hot Lou story, so some people affectionately know me and refer to me as Hot Lou. That's a story for maybe in the Q&A, but I've kind of been wrapped up in the software world since about 2005. I was the first technical hire at a software startup named OurFamilyWizard.com that helps divorced families manage their shared custody schedule, messaging, expense logs, so on and so forth. And now 16, 17 years into it, it's now the biggest family management tool on the web. And while I was there, I worked, I worked real hard for about 3 years, rewriting every line of code and doing everything end to end on the technical side there. And wanted to leave to become a founder. So I, after that, left and co-founded a company called 8th Bridge, where we famously opened up the very first storefront ever on Facebook with 1-800-Flowers in July of 2009. Month after that, we ended up winning the Minnesota Cup, me and my two co-founders, which was and still is the biggest entrepreneurship award in Minnesota. We were, no, we don't need to do that. But it was, I mean, that was a really fun journey, particularly because at that moment when we won, we were like literally broke and owed a lot of money. We did win $60,000 for winning that entrepreneurship award, but more importantly, there was a venture capitalist in the audience that wanted to invest, and we closed our Series A in like 3 or 4 weeks or something. Really ridiculous, and raised $5 million. A couple months later, I hacked together some even cooler code that allowed shopping not just on Facebook but in the news feed, which now, as of a couple weeks ago, is kind of a native feature, which is pretty neat. But we ended up getting acquired by an agency, an e-commerce agency in California called Fluid in 2014. And now the last 3 years, I've been slowly but surely figuring out what I want to do next, which kind of brings me to Evergreen. So years and years ago, as maybe some of you guys are already familiar with this story, I was doing, like, Facebook was my playground. I had dozens of Facebook pages, and I was experimenting with what conventional wisdom was to build out big pages, and did all these kind of experiments. Well, one of them was, woke up on my birthday, December 17th, and got 500 happy birthday messages, some from friends, others from veritable strangers, other like classmates I hadn't talked to in 15 years. And I thought that was kind of neat. I wonder what would happen if on December 18th, I changed my birthday to December 18th. So I did it on the next morning, and I still got like 100 happy birthday messages that were all sincere. Obviously, a bunch of people are like, it's not your birthday. My mom's like texting me, what's going on here? Pretty sure I know your birthday. And December 19th, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do this again. And sure enough, I got a couple dozen happy birthday messages, completely sincere. And at that point, I decided I'm gonna keep doing this until I get no more sincere happy birthday messages. And believe it or not, it literally went more than 3 months. So something like 100 and some days in, one day went by, and the only happy birthday messages I was getting were people that were in on the joke. And so that was the end of the experiment. But afterwards, I kind of reflected on it. I'm like, hey, this is kind of neat. I hacked together a way to get like a bunch of attention on Facebook, and like tried to reform what was unique about that interaction, and how could I apply it to marketing for our 8th Bridge customers and another project that I was working on with my girlfriend at the time. Well, what I really realized was that this was a piece of content that was kind of evergreen. So my birthday, even though it only came around once a year, birthdays themselves are evergreen. You're always going to get people interacting with them, and they're kind of a positive news story, and just generally something that will always garner a reaction. So I started thinking, what if all of the content that I started using on a particular page was purely evergreen? And what I mean by that is a piece of content that no matter when it gets shared, whether it's summer, winter, fall, it's a holiday, it's a not holiday, it's a weekday, weekend, whatever the case, it's always going to be relevant. And not only that, it doesn't have an expiration date, so I can actually recycle it and use it again. And sure, birthdays aren't recyclable for everybody, and in fact, don't try that experiment, because if you change your birthday now, you can only change it once on Facebook, and there's this huge warning. I don't take credit for that new policy, but I'm sure other people were doing this to try to hack it that way. So at the end of the day, I started running a couple more pages that were literally just evergreen content, and it was hundreds of images that I had curated over the years on Reddit, on Pinterest, on other Facebook pages, and just started publishing them over and over and over. And what I found was that that was a super easy way to not have to create content every single day, but get people inspired or motivated or entertained with that content. And then as soon as I burned through the 100 that I had, I just started reusing the ones that I'd already done. And I did that across many, many pages. One of the pages that I did that with was my ex-girlfriend, who is a children's entertainer out at the Renaissance Festival, and we used this strategy to build up her Facebook audience to 250,000 fans. So as some surprise looks in the audience demonstrate, like having a Renfest performer with that big of an audience was a critical asset in turning her from this unknown entertainer that was basically homeless, you know, going from festival to festival, and turned her into a little bit of an internet celebrity. And with that, we capitalized off that audience by doing crowdfunding campaigns, by publishing children's books. And the last year we actually had the business and we're running it together, we sold almost $250,000 worth of books. And 20% of that was just through a single crowdfunding campaign across just a couple of weeks. So that entire strategy was slowly but surely build up this evergreen content library and then just keep recycling it and try to promote in every way that we can. Well, I did that now with a bunch of different pages that were just like cool destinations around the world, super cute baby animal pictures, inspirational entrepreneurship quotes. And then I had like a few dozen pages just running these things. And as you might imagine, my entire life was just pointing and clicking and scheduling content every single day. And having the software background that I did, I was like, why don't I have a software solution for this? Why can't I just write something that does this? And I had an idea that I was gonna write some software that just took images out of a Dropbox folder that was sitting on my desktop and randomly published out of it on whatever schedule I picked. And that was the birth of Evergreen. I turned those 50-ish pages into 1,000, and now I have this massive playground. And at the time, I wasn't thinking of Evergreen, the software company. I was thinking, how does Lou not spend 4 hours a day pointing and clicking and scheduling content? And word got around. I worked at the time out of a co-working office space in Minneapolis called Coco. A handful of people asked me, hey, I heard about this software you're using to run a bunch of your pages. Can I license it from you? I was like, sure, no problem. And it was really funny given my entrepreneurial background. It took me several months of this before I realized, oh my God, I have a potential business here. Because I was working on another project at the time and woke up one day, I was like, what am I doing? Put that other project back on the shelf and said, all right, now I'm gonna start building out Evergreen. And it was great because one of the things that I really wanted to do was bootstrap my next company. And this customers coming in and licensing this content or licensing the software from me allowed me to reinvest the money that I was getting from these customers to slowly but surely make the product a little bit better. And right around this time last year is when when I launched fully self-service and allowed people to just go in, sign in, pay for it, upgrade their service without even needing to talk to me. And today actually represents kind of a cool thing. Today is actually a huge milestone. This is the first time I had an annual renewal for my biggest premium package. It's been a great journey, and in the last couple months I actually hit another milestone where we're publishing sometimes up to 30,000 times a day on different Facebook pages and Twitter accounts. And slowly but surely continue to market mostly through word of mouth and through this public speaking things. And slowly but surely improving the product and looking for customers that are looking for a way to mostly automate their publishing on Facebook. And now, you know, the elevator pitch for Evergreen is it's really for small and medium businesses that are looking to put their social media management on autopilot if they don't themselves have the time, resources, expertise, or budget to run it on their own. And it's $49 a month. So for most people, I think that are hiring up to like a VA, they're typically spending like $400 to even $2,000 a month to say, I'm gonna get 10 posts every single month for $2,000 on my Facebook page, and it's not really panning out. What I found is that if you set up Evergreen just to publish a couple times a day, you're generally gonna get better results in aggregate than you will even hiring out a VA and a social media manager. Not true for everybody. There's some really good social media managers out there. However, for the most part, most small businesses can't really ever earn back that $400 to $2,000 a month that they're spending on just, you know, paying somebody to publish every once in a while. You kind of need to have a little bit bigger strategy. But that's where the Evergreen journey has taken me, and that's kind of where I am today. So I think that's kind of a good stopping point to tell a little bit about the journey where we're at today, and maybe open it up for questions.